Okay, I have been asked to speak about the fall of man. So picture the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve, and at first understand that this is all symbolic, okay, in a sense. So you have the Garden of Eden and its perfection, and everything is green and lush, and animals and man live in harmony and in peace, and no one must kill to eat, and all of these things, okay? Absolute harmony in the garden. And then there is this tree called the tree of knowledge. Now this is again very symbolic. So it is called the tree of knowledge, and it is understood that Adam and Eve were told not to partake of this tree, or I would say they were told that if they did partake of this tree, they would have to leave the garden, okay? And why do I say it that way? Because if God commands a thing, it is so. So God cannot, like the 10 Commandments, we cannot be commanded to do a thing by God and have it not be so, all right? So let's look at that for just a second. The 10 Commandments then are not necessarily the 10 Commandments. They are 10 encouragements or 10 assurances that if your behavior aligns with these things, you are on the path to God or more in accord with God or love, okay? All right, so Adam and Eve are in the garden and everything is perfect, and there is this tree. And the story in Christian lore says that a serpent came and tempted, okay? A serpent came and tempted Eve. I'm going to say this right now. If you see a snake in its spiral this way, I was just given that symbolic of DNA, just so you know, okay? The serpent, the spiral. It's not really a snake. So, according to the lore, Eve is tempted to partake of the fruit of the tree. All right. So what is this? So again, being symbolic, the tree is representing good and evil. In other words, choice. In other words, polarity or duality. All right. So, sorry, something in my eye. Allergies this time of year. Okay. So here we are in the garden, and there is this tree in our story, and Eve is tempted, according to the story, and partakes of the fruit and offers it to Adam, who then partakes of the fruit. Okay. This tree is the tree of good and evil, or love and fear. Understand this, love and fear. What happens in the story after they partake of the fruit, they hide from God because they become afraid of God. Not because of what they've done. They become afraid of God because they have now chosen in accord or in participation with fear. This story is the act of the choice for fear, the choice for separation from God, okay? That's another way of looking at it. Because in the story, God says, if you partake of this fruit, you'll die. Well, you'll have to leave the garden, which is God, right? So the reality of this is that through our choice to incarnate, through the spiral of DNA, to incarnate into form, we have taken on, allowed, accepted the illusion of separation from God in order to have a human experience. You understand? All of this is symbolic. And whether you're female or male, we all chose. So it doesn't matter. There was no, Eve is bad and Adam is good. That's none of that. It is a story. It is a story that attempts to explain a thing that was really difficult for minds of that time to understand. The truth is that the choice was made to come into form. And through that choice and acceptance of an illusion of separation from God, which was necessary, and we can say it another way, taking on of a self-identity that seems separate from God to have a focused, directed experience. Okay? That is the story of the fall of Adam. That is the story of Adam and Eve having to leave the garden and beginning to procreate and populating the earth. And it's a story. It just is symbolic of things that we now label or term or classify in different ways. It's a story. So it's pointing to a truth. It's pointing to a reality that we are still the divine. We are still that perfect creation of God who has accepted, we have accepted the illusion of separation from God. We have accepted fear through that illusion to allow us to have a human experience, okay? Because if you take our earth, our world, and you remove fear from it, you have the Garden of Eden. That is what we would say perfect world, is our world without fear. Anything that we see that seems unlike God is an expression of fear from the one with the power, okay? It can't become or manifest without the power of God. And so when you see something that you would want to deem it not God, it is an expression of God as fear in form, as a manifestation of fear, which is a resonance, okay? God is love in its perfect form. God is love in its absolute. And all that means is it's a resonance. So fear is going to have a resonance here within God, okay? God being the totality of it. And fear has a resonance that's lower, and love has a resonance that's higher, and God happens to be at that highest resonance. It's all God, okay? But the characteristics, okay, say it that way. So we are in our perfection at the level of God in resonance, perfect love. And as we allow or accept fear to come in and be a part of our experience, that adds layers which drop us down in frequency from all of the fear layers, okay, that we are accepting and allowing into our energetic field. We're allowing it to become a part of our field, our energetic field, and so it distorts the reality of the perfection that we start out with. So that's the distortions. Some of the teachings will speak of distortions of love, right? And that's what it is. It's the energetics of fear that we have allowed to come in and become part of us and inform our thoughts, feelings, actions, etc. And the more of that fear we allow to inform our day, our moments, the lower our vibration is, only because we are playing and allowing and accepting and participating in that vibration. Okay, so that's So again, here we have the kingdom of God, heaven on earth, the Garden of Eden. And as fear is allowed and accepted by us, we start to have experiences that are really not as pleasant as where we began. But again, this is as good as I can articulate it at this moment. I'm sure if I sat and wrote it and captured it from spirit, it would be more precise and it would be more articulate. But I was given the information in an image and in a feeling, and so I'm communicating that now. So in the Bible story, when it says that Adam and Eve hid from God, that is showing where fear has come in. Okay? The temptation really wasn't a thing at all. It was accepting an experience in form, in physicality. And there's nothing to blame for that. It was a choice that was made by us because we are in form, we are in physicality. So we all made that choice, all of us that are here. Okay? So it's, and two, and this is where it's kind of strange because, you know, in the Bible story, Adam and Eve already had bodies, so they were already in physicality. So that, you know, but people of that time were not able to grasp that. It was the concept, the story to attempt to explain a concept. And how many still can't imagine being without having a physical body, right? Because we are not the body. We are not the stuff. The stuff is not the stuff. It is all coming from the presence and perfection of God through the Christ, creating form, creating physicality. So I was just, you know, really impressed with this for the moment and wanted to pop on really quick and give this explanation as it was given to me, because it's so perfect, you know, and all the teachings that say about the duality and the different words that we give it, it's really beautiful. As long as we don't allow words to divide us, as long as we make sure that we remain receptive to someone else's ideals and understandings, because the realization is it is all the same thing, only given different words, given different labels. This is why Jesus counseled us that we are not to judge. Because when we judge, we are closing off the best part of our minds, the receptivity of our minds that are able to take information and translate it into truth. So the realization is, if I remain without judgment, I'm able to hear clearly. I can hear beyond the words, I can see beyond the form, and I can know the truth of it all. In peace and love, may you be blessed. And more on this. So as I was watching the video that I made, more came. And what else came was, every time we choose fear instead of love, we are partaking, we are eating from the fruit of that tree. So the tree in the story of the fall of Adam that it was called the tree of knowledge is actually fear. Okay? All things are in God, in the garden. Okay? In God, in the garden. The garden is symbolic of God. And everything that could ever be was there in perfect harmony until we choose or eat from the tree, which is fear. And in this story, God is saying, when you choose to eat from that tree, you are making the choice to separate yourself from me in your mind. That is what you believe. When you choose to eat from that fruit or align yourself with fear, you will believe you are separate from me. So that's just something else that came as I was rewatching the other video, was how very simple and perfect the story is if you can see through the form. Okay, so these are concepts. And even as we are incarnate in a human form now, I'm sorry, my puppy's crated and not happy about it. Every moment we make a choice to align with fear, or we allow fear to come into our field and influence our moment, inform our moment, we are choosing separation from God, because that is how it translates for us as human. So as the human, when we align with fear, the side effect is we believe then, we feel that we are separate from God because we are not aligning to our truth, which is the resonance of love, the resonance of freedom, the resonance of power. So as we allow ourselves to feel the truth, to embody the truth of the power of God, the Christ as us, we no longer allow, accept, or bring in these fears or vibrations of fear that would pull us away from or separate us from the truth of who we are as Christ, as the expression of God. Okay? And peace and love.